Hey, so as you may know, chords are traditionally built up from thirds, that's in the classical traditional harmony. But did you know with some jazz voicings, we can build them up in fourths? This is quartal voicing. Because these chords are built up from fourths, you get a much more open sound in the voicing. They're often described as more modern and more sophisticated sounding. So if you're looking for that contemporary sound in your comping and your jazz writing, this is a great place to start developing that. So let's take a C6-9 chord, for example. Instead of that traditional voicing that we may do with a C at the bottom and build the notes up from there, why don't we try going E, A, D, G, C? So build that all up in fourths. This is how it sounds. Do you hear how that's got much more of an open sound, and it's even slightly ambiguous. We haven't got the root at the bottom, we've got the third at the bottom there, and we've built up in fourths from that to fill in all the other notes we need. And it's just got a different sound. It's got a more modern sound, and it's really useful for that kind of vibe if that's what you're going for. That more open, spacious sound can give you a bit more tension in your playing as well, because it's not fully resolved, it's not fully set in any kind of tonal center, really. You haven't got the root really clearly outlining that harmony. It's also got a bit more of a suspended sound because we're working with fourths instead of thirds. Now, the problem that might arise with that lack of a root is that the chords that we are playing could be described as a number of different chords because the root isn't as clear and because all the notes are common with a different voicing of a different chord, a different quartal voicing. So let's take G6-9, for example, over here. If we respell those notes into a different order, we can get these different chords. It could also be called C major 13, an E minor 11, an F major 13 sharp 11, plenty of different names for this one voicing of chord. And that makes it really tricky to use this style in a solo piano style well. It can be used, but you have to be really careful with how you're voicing these chords for that to work in the most smooth way possible. Now, when you're playing with a bassist, the roots there, it's really easy. It creates a great sound, it stays well out of the way, and can have a really nice wide voicing style. Now, these chords are typically going to be made up of 5 notes. It can be more, can be less, but 5 will give you enough harmonic knowledge to get the gist of that chord across. Due to them being a much wider voicing, I'd probably play them near the middle of the piano, so as not to get in the way of other instruments and not to muddy up the sound of the voicing by playing stuff lower down or too high. There are some specific voicings for quartal chord that have been given their own sort of nickname, their own name in a way, just based on them being used in a really famous tune or played by a really famous piano player or jazz musician. One of which is the so what chord, and we're going to get onto that in a later video once we've gone through all the concepts of a quartal chord. With this style of voicing, we can get some pretty complex chords voiced pretty easily. So if we go with, say, a C7 sharp 11 chord, build that up from the C, F sharp, B flat, and E. Now I've got all the information we need there for it to be a really clear C7 sharp 11. And notice that we're not all built up from perfect fourths here, as we have been with the other chords we've been looking at. Here we've got 2 augmented fourths and a diminished fourth. So you can do loads of different things with these to get the colours you need, the extensions you need in your jazz chords. By incorporating quartal voicings into your playing, you can create a more sophisticated, modern sound. And I think it really helps you open up doors to new sounds so that you can create more colourful chords and really push the boundaries of your playing. This style of voicing is pretty common in jazz playing now, jazz comping, jazz writing, all sorts. It's pretty well entrenched in the voicing standard. But if you're looking for some specific recordings to hear these voicings and maybe pick them out more clearly, take a look at these. These are all really great recordings that have got what you need. And if you have a really great example that you just love of a quartal voicing, do let me know in the comments.